A&M University Student Body Senate to order on May 20th, 2020 at 7:03 p.m. We'll begin with a period of opening remarks. In those opening remarks, I just want to say thank you to everyone who is here and showing up for this special session. I know it wasn't an expected session. I know it wasn't one that was on the calendar, but it was one that we felt we needed to go ahead and have to finish up some business before we head into the summer session. So I want to thank you all for your time and for being here. And with that, we're going to begin with a period of opening roll call led by Pro Tem Spur.
Howdy, y'all. Just want to let you know my camera is going to be off tonight. I do apologize. Not feeling a little bit under the weather, but wanted to be here for y'all, so I'm just not going to turn that on so y'all don't look at my nastiness. But the agenda, or the opening roll call form has been opened for you to fill out, and y'all will have until 7:10 to fill that out, and then that will close.
Perfect. And again, as Pro Tem Spur said, that will be open until 7:10. So I'm going to give you all a couple seconds here to go ahead and fill that out. Then we're going to get going, but it will stay open until 7:10, even though we'll keep moving on. All right, so again, that opening roll call will stay open until 7:10, but we are going to go ahead and move into a period of indication in the Pledges of Allegiance led by our guest, Cameron McClure, on behalf of the First Baptist College Station. Cameron, you should be unmuted. Are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can y'all hear me?
This can go to you to lead us in invocation.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for giving us these amazing student leaders that can meet and work diligently together to provide answers to different problems around campus. Thank you for giving us an amazing school that allows us to meet in groups like this and enables us to meet and be student leaders. And through tough times like this, we can still have student organizations like SGA and other organizations that we can continue to meet with and that we can build friendships through. Even though we're all separated through quarantine, we still have opportunities like this to get to bond together and help every single one of the students either returning or the incoming freshman class as we prepare for a really unknown state into the next semester. Help us to be open to change and to be able to be persistent and stay diligent in our studies and to lift each other up and check on each other in tough times. In your name, amen. Go ahead and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And go ahead and lead us in the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Cameron, thanks so much for being with us today and for leading us in vacation and pledges.
No problem. Thank y'all.
Well, fantastic, y'all. We'll now move into a period of mission statement and Aggie honor code led by our longest serving senator, Senator Wood.
Howdy. The mission statement says Texas A&M University Student Senate represents all students in order to enhance the Texas A&M experience within our university and communities through research, legislation, and advocacy in accordance with the core values of our institution. The honor code is, an Aggie does not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. Thanks and good.
Thank you, Senator Wood. I will now move into a period of the singing of the spirit of Aggieland, led by Pro Tem Spur. Thank you, Pro Temp Spur. We'll now move into a period of open forum. Pro Temp Spur, has anyone filled out the open forum sheet to be with us today?
They have not.
And that will conclude our period of open forum, and we'll move into a period of approval of the 429 meeting minutes. Those meeting minutes can be found in the drive, and we'll move by general consent to approve those meeting minutes. Are there any objections to the meeting minutes from 429? Seeing no objections, those minutes are moved to be approved, and we'll now move into a period of executive cabinet confirmations, beginning with the hearing of the confirmation for Vice President of Communications, with the candidate being Peyton Leibler, SVP Mendoza. I will leave it to you for the introduction.
Wonderful. Well, howdy, Senate. Thank you, Speaker McHugh. Feels like it's been quite some time before we've all met. So I hope everyone's okay, semester ended well. And we're gonna hop into confirmations like it was mentioned. So Peyton Leibler is someone that is no stranger to SGA Communications. He helped a lot with what was done this past year under Adley Parks. And so I was impressed with the ideas that he gave me. I was impressed with the content that I saw throughout the last year. I know working with that team throughout the last year that it really truly was kind of a revamp of the communications sector within executive cabinet. So I have no doubt he can continue that, especially in a year where everything has quickly gone digital. So really happy with his application and having him possibly join us. And with that, I'll encourage all of you to open his application in the 73rd Google Drive under his name and position and follow along as he's going to present to you all. And I will turn it over to you, Peyton.
Peyton, you'll have 5 minutes beginning at howdy.
Okay, great. Thanks, Eric. Do you guys want me to share my screen with you for my presentation?
If we could have the presentation be followed along through just the individual senator screen, and then have you talk on your screen, that would be perfect.
Great, okay. So once you guys have that all pulled up, okay. Here, I'll share it. Oh. All right. Howdy, everybody. My name is Peyton Leibler. I am a member of the loudest and the proudest Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2022, AAA Whoop. I'm a Recreation, Parks, and Tourism Sciences major from the College of AgriLife with a specialization in certification in event planning, tourism management, and hospitality management. I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and a fun fact about me is I've committed the entire Hamilton soundtrack to memory, and I can recite it all word for word without a backing track, all 2 hours and 20 minutes of it. Within SGA, I have served as a fish aide my freshman year on the University Event Programming Cabinet Committee, planning events such as SGA Awards Banquet, SGA Tailgate, and SBA Amy Sharp's Howdy to Health events. And most recently, I have served as the SGA Communications Head of Content Creation under VP of Communications Natalie Parks, with responsibilities including social media graphics, video production, logo design, marketing materials, and social media management. I also serve with the Matthew Gaines Initiative under the Art Commemoration Committee, and I also serve with Texas A&M Athletics Letterman's Association with Team 12, and most recently I was a delegate for the MSC Abbott Family Leadership Conference, which is a conference specializing in ethics, values, and leadership development for students at Texas A&M. Relevant work experience, I have completed an internship media and sponsorship with Live Nation Entertainment. I worked in a joint internship in Los Angeles and Salt Lake City, working for the largest concert promoter and live entertainment producer in the world. I assisted in brand management, social media metrics, analytics, content creation, and the specialization in artistic development with all of those factors. And this coming semester, I was actually going to be pursuing an internship with the Walt Disney Company, a membership and programming internship, but it was canceled obviously due to COVID. And I was slated to work at the Disney headquarters in Glendale, California, and I would have assisted and trained with graphic design, social media marketing, and brand management of the Walt Disney Company's social media accounts and follower metrics with focus in key demographic study as it pertains to event implementation. I also volunteer with the City of College Station Parks and Recreation Department and the Cornerstone Early Childhood Development Center. My vision and values, what I have laid out for you guys here, is some words that I define my life by and the definition I have for those. So I'm just going to kind of read some ones that I think are very prevalent to me and can apply to the situation. Imagination, the most valuable tool we have as human beings. We think, therefore it becomes. Creativity, the process of thinking differently. Revolution, inspiration to strike while the iron's hot and reject the status quo. Hope, no matter how dark things get, the brighter the light will shine for you. And people, what makes life worth living. And believe, which is the faith that whatever is to come will help you in the most unlikely of ways. My vision for the Vice President of Communications position is like a high-rise tower. Take the foundation set before you and keep on moving up. I think the Vice President of Communications should bring SGA into a new light at Texas A&M by focusing on the evaluation of our campus and our student body as a living, breathing thing. And this includes the distinct focus of the immensely diverse ecosystem of SGA, comprised of obviously the 3 unique branches, including the Senate, each with their own vibrant communities and committees. My vision is to focus on the things that make SGA unique and therefore share it with the campus and the world in a new and equally unique ways. And this will be accomplished through acute interorganizational communication as well as promoting an open dialogue for all students. My goals, as far as it goes with social media, is to increase all following of all SGA social media accounts, including the Spotlight, templating, and digital social media request forums, as well as providing a resource for all SGA social media managers to come and sort of study under what we can do to grow all of our collective population techniques. And the SGA pop-up locations, so similar to cookies and coffee, just increase those and make them a little bit more publicized so students know where to come to talk to student leaders. Physical marketing, taking advantage of the on-campus digital aspects that come through on the monitors. Establishing our presence at Texas A&M while decreasing our ecological footprint by using less paper resources, and interactive platforms using AR, Bluetooth technology, and implementation into student life through social media. And as well as it goes, the biggest part of my new plans and goals for this position would be new content altogether. So right there, I have a little video for you guys if you guys want to watch it later on. It's something that I think is a good little teaser trailer for what I'm calling SGA Original Series, which will provide an extensive showcase of SGA to the university. SGA Originals will be available to all students and give the student body an easily accessible and engaging way to see what SGA has been up to in their lives, including Aggie updates will be a revamped version of our previous work with Today in SGA. SGA
Hey, I'm
Spotlight.
going to have to stop you for just a second to recognize Senator Allen with a motion. Senator Allen, you'll be unmuted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Allen, Mays Caucus. I motion to extend time of presentation by 2 minutes.
Seeing a second, we will, by general consent, move to extend the time of presentation by 2 minutes unless there are any objections. Again, if there are any objections, you can type that in the chat. Are there any objections at this time? Seeing an objection, we will now move to vote by raising of hands in Zoom. The way that that is done is by raising your hand. If you go into the participants and look down at the bottom, we'll begin with all of those in favor of extending the period of presentation by 2 minutes. Please raise your hand. And you can lower your hands. And all those against extending the period of presentation by 2 minutes, please raise your hand. And lower your hands. That motion does pass and the period of presentation has been extended by 2 minutes. Peyton, you do still have the floor.
Along with the SGA series, this includes all of the different branches of SGA. So this includes obviously the Senate as well. So what I would like to do is create more of a cohesive development as a whole for the organization of SGA, along with these SGA original series. So it would be sort of an enhancement of trying to see what we're able to do, as well as looking at what we have done in the past. And then focusing on that, not forgetting our history, but always looking forward to where we're going. And this includes the Spotlight series, and then Interactive, which is a first of its kind interactive content where students will be able to interact with the Texas A&M campus and SGA policies as never seen before. And that includes stuff like the Ag Updates services, as well as the surveys that are put out almost all the time. And we can make that a little bit more fun for people, as well as something a little bit more interactive and rewarding for them to see in their daily lives as well. So yes, that concludes my presentation. I thank you guys so much for listening and your consideration for this. And I'll take any questions at this time.
In these start and be a 5-minute period. If you have any questions, please utilize, as a reminder, the raised hand tool that can be found by clicking the participants and then clicking down at the bottom if you are on a desktop. We'll begin with Chair Teague.
Chair Teague, Finance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Leibler, as Finance Chair, I oversee the allocation of funds to projects such as the ones that you mentioned. With these projects that you're trying to either revamp or start yourself, how much do you see the allocations this year for exec increasing?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. I'd necessarily say that this actually will not increase cost at all. One thing that I've been very prevalent for in the promotion of original content thus far this past year as my head content creator position was that I found Texas A&M releases resources that we can use as students for free. So I took advantage of that, camera rentals, green screen spaces. I'm a very budget-minded person, so I will not be asking for too much money as far as it goes. As well as I've said, digital marketing is the future of where we are at within, sort of our realm now in this current position. So I think the more you can focus on that, the more you can understand that money doesn't necessarily even have to play a role in it nowadays. We can do so many things now at just the click of a button and some hard work along with it. But thank you for that question.
Senator Martin.
Senator Martin, Liberal Arts Caucus. Two real quick questions. Number one, when it comes to being a communications person, vice president of that, would you be for maybe putting together town halls for the Senate and other branches of student government? And second off, what is your favorite song on the Hamilton soundtrack?
Both awesome questions. To answer your first question, yes, I love all the town hall systems that come into place. I think the MSC Town Hall has actually been a really good outline of what we can do in SGA. They do a great job of bringing in speakers that kind of challenge outlook and different things like that. And I believe in my role as communications, I definitely could promote those. As well as you guys know, I have process and experience in event implementation as well. So I would love more than anything to pursue along that. And my favorite song would probably My Shot. I listen to that every day in the morning and I can rap it, the entire thing. It makes me feel good. So yeah, thanks for that question.
Wow. And are there any other questions for our presenter at this time? Seeing none, that will conclude our period of question and answer. Peyton, I'm going to go ahead and send you into the waiting room, and I'll bring you back after debate and voting have commenced.
Absolutely. Thank you.
With that, we'll move into a period of debate. The period of debate will be a 5-minute period going back and forth with periods of 45-second against and 45-second for. We'll begin with debate against. If you do have any debate against, you can raise your hand using the raise hand function on Zoom, not just raising your hand on the camera. So we'll go ahead and begin with that debate against. Is there any debate against at this time? And seeing none, debate is one-sided, and that will conclude our period of debate. We'll now move into a period of voting. That voting link should be open here in just a second, and I'll turn it over to Pro Tem Spur to share any info on that.
That link should be on, and Brogan has sent in the Zoom group chat how to access it via the Drive, and via Slack has sent the TexAg link. Y'all will have until 7:27 to finish filling that out. All right, and we're going to go ahead and cut off that voting as it is 7:27. And it looks like with a vote of 45 in favor and 1 an abstention, he will be confirmed.
Fantastic. We'll go ahead and bring him back in here. Peyton, are you back with us?
Yes.
Well, fantastic. Then it is my pleasure to let you know that you have been confirmed to serve as SGA's next Vice President of Communications. Congratulations.
Thank you guys so much. Oh my gosh, thank you.
It is our pleasure. And with that, Chief Justice McIntosh, are you here to swear him in?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Peyton, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Peyton Leibler,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
the duties of the office of, and then state your office name,
the duties of the office of the Vice President of Communications
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
for the Texas A&M Student Government Association,
to uphold the honor of the same
to uphold the honor of the same
at all times, to protect the welfare of the student body
at all times, to protect the student welfare of the welfare of the student body,
and to promote good relations
and to promote good relations
between the students
between the students
and those concerned with the university.
and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
Thank you guys so much.
Congratulations, Vice President Leibler. With that, we'll now move into the hearing of the confirmation of the position of Vice President of Municipal Affairs. And we'll be considering Helena McCrossan for that. SVP Mendoza, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And just like with Peyton, this presentation is also in the drive, but our candidate, of course, is no stranger to Senate, no stranger to many of you. And so we're very, very excited for the idea of her joining our team. She's also no stranger to municipal affairs. She served this past year on the committee under the previous vice president running the Gig the Vote team, which also really revamped what MA looks at, what they do, and the initiatives that they provide, especially in what is now an election year. So her insights and knowledge of both Bryan, College Station, MA, SGA, as well as Senate is really, really exciting. And I know she's going to do a fantastic job. So I will turn it over.
And Helena, you'll have 5 minutes beginning at howdy.
Great. Howdy, Senate. I am so excited to be getting the opportunity to present to you and answer your questions tonight. So I encourage you to follow along with my presentation in the drive. So if you don't know me, my name is Helena McCrossan. I am class of 23, so I've just finished up my freshman year here at Texas A&M. My hometown is New Braunfels, Texas, and I am a poultry science major. I absolutely love the ag industry, so I'm always down to talk about chickens if y'all have any questions about that. And a fun fact is I hold dual citizenship between the United States and the Republic of Ireland. My father is from Ireland. I absolutely love traveling. Don't ask me to speak any Irish. I can tell you about 3 words, and one of them is my middle name. So moving on to experience and involvement. So like Eric already mentioned, I have been involved with Gig the Vote this past semester. I served as marketing director on our executive team. I had an absolute pleasure getting to serve under our previous Vice President of Municipal Affairs, Jacqueline Askew. She did an absolutely phenomenal job kind of restructuring Gig the Vote. It's been around for several years, but hasn't really been active. So part of my job on the kind of new executive team was to help restructure it. So I did things like designing and implementing a logo. We've established new social media pages. I worked on the campus voter registration drive and kickoff party that unfortunately we didn't get to have because it was going to be right after spring break. But I'm excited to kind of recycle some of those ideas for the fall. Additionally, I also took and passed the volunteer voter registration certification exam. So I am legally allowed to register people to vote in Brazos County. Additionally, I'm involved in the University Honors Program, Sigma Alpha Agricultural Sorority, the Poultry Science Club, and then some community experience that is relevant to municipal affairs. So actually, as a high school student, I had the opportunity to work directly with elected officials. So I worked with the Commissioner's Court as a youth representative to kind of create an action plan for agri-life extension. I was very involved in 4-H growing up. So it was an absolute honor to be appointed to that committee by our county judge and get to work with them, have meetings with them, kind of represent the youth idea, especially for the 4-H program. And then I'm also involved in the League of Women Voters of the Comal area. If y'all don't know what the League of Women Voters is, it's actually open to both men and women, and it's a nonpartisan voter education and kind of civic action program. So that's something I'm really big on is nonpartisanship, especially at the university. We should be representing everyone's ideals and communicating information, not necessarily policy ideas. So if you want to know anything else about the League of Women Voters, I'd love to talk to you all about that. So kind of moving on to my vision and values, key value is selfless service. I absolutely want to emphasize that during my year of service because my role is really connecting students and community leaders. Even if I don't necessarily know exactly what that answer is as soon as I'm asked, I want to get that answer and I want to connect them to someone who can give them the right information or help them do what they might want to do. So kind of continuing with my goals, I want to continue spearheading the Gig the Vote initiative. We did some awesome work this past semester. And as y'all know, November 2020 is a really big election year. So not only do we have national and state races, but we also have a lot of local races, including, if y'all don't know, our current U.S. state rep for Brazos County is retiring and we will have a new person in office. So that's a really big program. We want to make sure that we can get someone else who really supports Texas A&M and will support our ideas. I would definitely want to work with creating voter education literature. That's something really big, is making sure college students know who they're voting for and they can be informed voters. Of course, continuing registration efforts. As pretty much everyone has probably said and will say tonight, we don't know what the fall is going to look like. And currently, we don't even know what voter registration is going to look like because currently registration has to be done in person. There are a lot of efforts kind of really brought to a head by this pandemic, but that had been going on for more than a decade, is to move voter registration online. If that happens, really making sure students have the opportunity to do that if they're not registered or if they're not registered in Brazos County. Also encouraging absentee voting, especially for students who might be high risk for COVID and don't want to stand in lines, making sure that they know that those are options for them. And of course, continuing to increase voter turnout. I want to continue kind of with some student housing improvement things. I want to learn more about those as well. I haven't been able to work with those a whole lot, so I want to really work with our previous VPMA and make sure that we are speaking out for the students and making sure that we are helping them to the best of our abilities. Of course, keep an active student voice in city and county conversations. There has been so much conversation, especially around COVID-19, what Commerce is going to look like, what our university is going to look like. So make sure that our students have a direct connection to those city and county officials. I obviously haven't been able to set up any meetings or calls with them as of right now because they are all really, really busy. That is going to be one of my first priorities. As soon as I can get in on a calendar, I want to talk to them, make sure that they know Texas A&M students have interest and a voice in what they are doing for our communities. And then additionally, I really want to work closely with our Senate Community Relations Committee. I've already had a meeting with Chair Oldag, and we have a ton of ideas. She kind of relayed to me what the Community Relations Committee worked on at a meeting. And I think to get things done, it's going to be great to team up with Senate. Senate has a really powerful voice. The executive branch has a powerful voice. So
I will have to tell you that our time is ended. So if you'll go ahead and finish up your presentation in a sentence or two.
Absolutely. So again, working with the Community Relations Committee, I'd love to answer any questions on that, but I would be more than willing to start my question period now.
Fantastic. The presenter is open for questions. Again, to ask a question, please utilize the raised hand tool found in Zoom if you click participants, and then down at the bottom if you are on desktop. Are there any questions for the presenter at this time? Senator Elbel.
Senator Elbel, off-campus caucus. Can you elaborate on how you're going to use your experience with the League of Women Voters in order to best use some of those practices you learned in order to work hard as our vice president?
Absolutely. Thank you, Senator Elbel, for that question. So kind of working with the League of Women Voters, I've really learned a lot about how to promote nonpartisan education materials. If y'all have never used the website Vote 411, that comes from the national level, and it has opportunities for people to get information on both sides of the aisle. All candidates can submit information, so it's directly hearing from their kind of straight out the horse's mouth on what their intentions, their policies are. Vote 411's phenomenal. I would really love to promote that. And also they have a lot of voter registration efforts. So again, we want to get as many people registered as possible because that's the only way you can really increase voter turnout. If someone's not registered, they can't vote.
Are there any other questions for the presenter at this time? And seeing no further questions, that will conclude our period of Q&A. Senator McCrossin, I'm going to go ahead and put you into the waiting room, and then we will bring you back after debate and voting. With that, we'll now move into a period of debate, beginning with debate against. Again, just as a reminder, if you do have any debate against or for at any point, please utilize the raised hand tool within the respective period. We'll go ahead and begin with a 45-second period of debate against. Is there any debate against at this time? And seeing none, debate is one-sided, and that will conclude our period of debate. We'll now move towards voting. Again, that voting link can be found on the agenda. in the drive as well as in the Slack, and I'll hand it over to Pro Tempore Spur to tell you more about that.
Howdy, y'all. As you can see, Brogan has sent those links, and I will give you until 7:41 to go ahead and fill that out. It's the Vice President of Municipal Affairs, VPMA.
As you go about voting, if you have any trouble, just let us know in the Zoom chat or in the Slack chat, and we'll get you into that voting link and make sure you have the opportunity to get your vote in.
All right, we're going to go ahead and close that form since it is 7:41. And with a vote of 41 in favor and 5, an abstention, she will be confirmed.
And bring her back in. Senator McCrossen, are you back with us?
Yes.
Fantastic. It is my pleasure to let you know that you have been confirmed to serve as our next Vice President of Municipal Affairs. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you. With that, though, as everyone here does know, Senator McCrossen has been a senator with us, and so the process is going to look a little bit different before we go ahead and move forward with the swearing in. I'm going to go ahead and have Pro Tem Spur let us know the current status of the resignation of Senator McCrossen.
Senator McCrossen and I have worked on her resignation forms. Senator McCrossen, are you okay with me finalizing those forms and changing the pending date to today's date and officially removing you from the Senate?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, then she is now just Miss McCrossen. She is no longer Senator McCrossen, and she is good to be sworn in.
All right, well, Ms. McCrossen, we'll miss you in the Senate, but with that, I'll hand you over to the Chief Justice for swearing in.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Helena McCrossen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
the duties of the office of, and then state your office name,
the duties of the office of Vice President of Municipal Affairs
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
to uphold the honor of the same
to uphold the honor of the same
at all times to protect the welfare
at all times to protect the welfare
of the student body
of the student body
and to promote good relations
and to promote good relations
between the students and those concerned with the university.
and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Vice President McCrossen. With that, we will now move into our next hearing of the confirmation of the Vice President of University Committees. For that hearing, we have the candidate of Nadine, and excuse me if I do butcher this last name, Aggie, and you'll have to let me know how I did on that. With that, though, I'll hand it over to SVP Mendoza for introductions.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Speaker McHugh. And we're excited to put up our final candidate for confirmation. And certainly it's as far as positions go for the summer months, it's very important. This position, would have already started to get to work, so we're really excited to have her join our team. And I think once the top staff and I got to sit down over her interview, we quickly found that she was the right person for this role specifically. It's a very task-oriented position, and given the quality she exhibited, but also has done in SGA, but also the relationship she has with the past vice president to kind of understand the role is really important. And, university committees always, but especially now when, these committees and conversations are so vital to students and the decisions they're making are so important. Getting the right people in the right spots is really her job, and I have no doubt she can do it. So I will turn it over to Nidhi.
Nidhi, you'll have 5 minutes at Howdy.
Thank you. Howdy, my name is Nadine Agretti, class of 23. I'm from Chantilly, Virginia. My major is political science with a minor in Arabic studies. And a fun fact is I love to travel, and one of my goals is to visit every continent and visit every US state. Moving on to my experience, I have a lot of student experience within student organizations, within the Corps of Cadets, my Naval ROTC Battalion, and Officiates, which is a freshman leadership organization I was a part of last year. In the Corps, I was able to develop strong time management and organization skills, being able to balance academics, my ROTC commitment, and of course, my flow commitment last year, as well as following a schedule and being very task-oriented, being able to get things done on with deadlines on a schedule. This year, I'll have a role on Cadre, which is a group of cadets chosen to have an active role in training incoming fish and holding them accountable to upholding outfits, Corps, and university traditions as well. Within my ROTC battalion, I had a role on the accountability team, so keeping our freshman members accountable for their attendance and their positions that they hold within the battalion, much like the vice president of university committees will hold committee members responsible for their roles as well. With Officiates, I was able to work with executive cabinets. It was a great experience. I got a lot of exposure to all the different university committees, from academic affairs to diversity to communications. I was also able to interact with a lot of the top staff and work with the past vice president of university committees, AJ Gillette, and I was also able to get a lot of insight into her roles and responsibilities and what she does within that role. With my internships and work experience, in my senior year of high school, I was part of the class of 2019 cohort for my county's youth leadership program. I acted as a student liaison between county executives and school student bodies to address school-specific issues, all the way from mental health to community outreach, and we helped to enact policy changes from these interactions. On my school SGA's executive committee, I was also a student liaison between school administration and the student body to again help enact policy changes. As an activities chair on this committee, I also work with various students to form committees and fill them with people that we thought would be the best fit to execute a lot of the events that we had throughout the year. With my volunteer work, I was fundraising chair for a youth council that helped raise awareness for teen substance abuse and prevention in my county. And I was able to interact with people from all over my county, people, schools, businesses, and organizations so that we could help build awareness and also start initiatives, as well as work with our county board of supervisors. For my values, I really value service, excellence, and integrity. Service, lasting contributions to the student community is a big reason that I wanted to join SGA, because we can make tangible changes in the student community at Texas A&M. Excellence, dedication, and commitment to upwards of 100+ committees that we have, being able to give the right attention and the right awareness to each committee, and making sure that we have fairness and transparency in executing the duties of the job. My vision is to bring visibility to university committee openings, making sure that these positions are socialized properly within the student body so that we can fill the positions with the best qualified candidates. My goals for this position are to improve effectiveness and the impact of committees through the sharing of best practices, building sort of a relationship with all the committees and making sure that they understand what works and what doesn't so that they can start to fill the roles with people that are the best fit, and ensure that these committee positions are clearly defined and that committees have processes in place to select candidates in a transparent manner, which will help make expectations easy to set and make the evaluations easy and measurable. Thank you so much for your time and your consideration. I'll take any questions that you have now. Thank you.
And with that, the presenter is open for questions. Are there any questions at this time? And again, to ask a question, please utilize the raised hand tool on Zoom. It can be found by hitting the participants button and then going down to the bottom. And seeing no questions, that will conclude our period of Q&A. And we'll move into a period of debate as well as voting. Nadine, I'm going to go ahead and move you into the waiting room, and then I'll bring you back once we're finished with that. And we will begin debate with a period of debate against. Is there any debate against at this time? And seeing none, debate is one-sided, and that will conclude our period of debate. And we will move into a period of voting. That voting link, just like the previous ones, can be found on the agenda, in the drive, as well as on the Slack. And I'll hand it over to Proton for Spur.
Howdy, guys. That form is opening now, and y'all will have until 7:52 to go ahead and fill that out. Like the last few times, and like Speaker McHugh said, the link has been sent in the Slack, and the directions have been sent in the chat. All right, y'all, it is 7:52, so we are gonna go ahead and close that. And with a vote of 42 for, 2 against, and 4 an abstention, she will be confirmed.
All right, well, fantastic. We'll go ahead and bring her back in. Nadine, are you back with us?
Yes, I am.
Well, fantastic. Then it is my pleasure to let you know that you have been confirmed to serve as our next Vice President of University Committees.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I will hand you over to Chief Justice McIntosh to swear you in.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Nadine Agretti,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
to faithfully execute to the best of my ability
the duties of the office of, and then state your office name,
the duties of the office of Vice President of University Committees
for the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
to the Texas A&M University Student Government Association,
to uphold the honor of the same
to uphold the honor of the same
at all times to protect the welfare
at all times to protect the welfare
of the student body
of the student body
and to promote good relations
and to promote good relations
between the students and those concerned with the university.
and those concerned with the university.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Vice President Agretti. It is great to have you. It is also great to finally have all of our executive cabinet confirmations wrapped up. I want to thank SPP Mendoza for bearing with us through that process, as well as each of you for being diligent and asking questions and working hard throughout that entire process. That has been a fantastic and a long process, so I know it's been tough. With that, though, we will now move into a period of old business, beginning with the consideration of SR 7301. With that, if the presenters will come forward and read that piece of legislation and present. Get you guys unmuted here.
Hello?
Hey, we can hear you guys.
I'm sorry, my connection kind of cut out a little, so can you repeat that?
Yeah, so we're going into the consideration of SR 7301, and so I'm handing it over to you and Senator Viswanhoff for reading the resolution and presentation.
Perfect. So, howdy, Senate. So as a lot of you know, we had this resolution be presented at our last meeting, and then it got sent to my committee, the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. And so we had a really great committee meeting last week with the bill authors, my committee, and also additional senators joined in. And prior to that, me and Senator Viswanath, the other bill author, we had reached out to a few senators that had concerns to make sure that we were really tackling them and like making sure everyone's perspectives were heard as we edited this resolution in committee. And so with that, I think we could just go straight into the PETA/Asian American COVID-19 support resolution. And Mega, you can go ahead.
So this resolution is based on supporting people of Asian Pacific Islander, they see American descent from increased incidents of racism and xenophobia as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And just a little background, this resolution was created, like I said, in response to students from A&M and students across the country that have gone on from A&M experiencing such things, and it's a crisis that has been occurring since the beginning of coronavirus. And so, starting with whereas 1, due to COVID-19, many Aggies are no longer present in College Station, but are currently back home, whether that be in Texas, in the United States, or globally. And
whereas 2, during the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been an increase in incidents of blatant racism and aggression towards peoples of PETA, Asian Pacific Islanders, Desi American descent, and Asian Americans. And
whereas 3, a TAMU-affiliated organization publicly tweeted a xenophobic and derogatory tweet regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. And
whereas 4, the battalion published an article that spoke of some Aggies' use of derogatory and demeaning remarks towards Asian Americans and those of Asian descent.
And whereas 5, in 2015, the World Health Organization published a best practices for the naming of new human infectious diseases, in which they highlighted that naming diseases based on geographical locations, cultures, populations, or occupations should be avoided. Past diseases such as the Spanish flu and the Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome were cited as naming conventions to avoid.
And whereas 6, terms such as Chinese virus, Wuhan flu, and Kung flu or similar variations attach a racial and ethnic stigma to the disease, regardless of the intention, and open up groups to be unjustly targeted. And
whereas 7, according to Dr. Weber, the Dean of Student Life for Texas A&M University, there have been a total of 112 stop hate reports regarding the aforementioned tweet in whereas 2, and 4 stop hate reports regarding 2 separate group me's associated with the class where a student used terms like Chinese virus and Corona boy, thus highlighting that Texas A&M students have been impacted and concerned by said actions. And
whereas 8, the Department of Justice released a statement cautioning against the spread of misinformation that proves harmful towards ethnic minorities and individuals of descent. And
whereas 9, the Anti-Defamation League also highlights over 70 specific cases of coronavirus-related anti-Asian incidents across the U.S., with several cases in the state of Texas. Based on an FBI intelligence report compiled by the FBI's Houston office, the FBI has warned of an increase in hate crime incidents against the Asian American population in response to misinformation associating the spread of the virus to these populations.
Therefore, let it be resolved 1,
The 73rd session of Student Senate supports all APITA/Asian American Aggies during this time, no matter where they may be in the United States or globally. And
let it be further resolved too. The 73rd session of the Student Senate condemns all racist, xenophobic, or derogatory behavior towards all people regardless of their race or ethnicity. And
let it further be resolved 3. The 73rd session of Student Senate recognizes that hateful speech and behavior do not represent our Aggie core values of respect, integrity, and excellence. And
let it further be resolved 4. The 73rd session of Student Senate encourages all Aggies to use name variations that do not attach a racial or cultural stigma to certain groups, such as official names announced by the World Health Organization, coronavirus disease, and COVID-19. And
let it be further resolved 5. While political discourse and freedom of speech are crucial, the 73rd session of Student Senate recognizes that criticizing the Chinese government can occur without resorting to hostile rhetorics against the Asian community. And
let it further be resolved 6. The 73rd session of Student Senate supports all minority groups affected by negative racial and xenophobic sentiments during the COVID-19 pandemic and encourages all Aggies to utilize resources such as the Stop Hate initiative or the Tell Somebody Online form to report any harmful or hateful activities and to reach out to counseling and psychological services and helpline as needed. And
let it be further resolved 7. A copy of this resolution be sent to John Sharp, Chancellor of Texas A&M, Dr. Michael K. Young, President of Texas A&M, Dr. Driver, Director of Department of Multicultural Services, Dr. Daniel J. Pugh Sr., Vice President of Student Affairs, Asian President's Council, Institute for Development of Asian American Leaders, and the Battalion. So with that, we are open to any questions. Yep.
With that, the presenters are open for questions. Are there any questions for the presenters at this time? Seeing none, that will conclude our period of question and answer, and we'll move into a period of debate. Thank you to the presenters. We will begin with debate against, a 45-second period of debate against. Is there any debate against this resolution right now? Seeing none, debate is one-sided, and that will conclude our period of debate. And we will move into a period of voting on the resolution SR 7301, the APITA and /Asian American COVID-19 support resolution. With that, the voting link can be found on the agenda as well as in the Drive and the Slack. And again, I'm going to defer to Pro Tem Spur to walk us through that process.
That ballot will be open until 8:04. All right, we're going to go ahead and close that ballot as it is 8:04. And with a vote of 45 in favor, 1 against, and 2 an abstention, that passes.
That passes. 7301 is officially passed and will be sent on to people mandated by the end of the resolution. With that, we will now move into a period of considering the resolution SR 7303 and the period project resolution. If the authors would please present, and I'll go ahead and get you guys muted here.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and read it. Previous Student Services Chair Chiamata of the 71st session did an immense amount of work with administration and staff to establish a pilot program providing free menstrual hygiene products in several restrooms across campus. During the 72nd session, the Student Services Committee was unable to bring the project to fruition in the fall of 2019, and the initiative is being reignited as a period project led by Erica Pauls and a committee that is focusing on data collection by gaining student feedback and marketing to spread awareness of the project across the campus. And the leadership of the period project has secured a micro grant of $3,500, which is a finite resource projected to last 6 months, through the Aggie Green Fund, a grant-making organization for sustainability projects at Texas A&M University. And the products will be purchased from OntFlow, a company that provides biodegradable, sustainable, and 100% organic cotton products that are well established in numerous universities across the country. And the SSC Services has committed to assisting in purchasing, installment, and replenishment. And the period project has gained approval for installations from several building proctors. And all students should be able to participate equally in their academics, campus life, and civic life. And the Texas A&M, therefore, let it be resolved that the Texas A&M Student Senate supports the creation and development of the period project subcommittee that will be housed under the Student Services Committee. And the Texas A&M Student Senate supports the collection of usage data to promote the continuation of the initiative through permanent funding by the Texas A&M administration. And the Texas A&M Student Senate appreciates the support from the Aggie Green Fund, SSC Services, the various building proctors, and the Vice President of Facilities and Operations to bring the period project into fruition. And let it be further resolved, a copy of this bill will be sent to President Michael K. Young, Dr. Daniel Pugh, Dr. Robin Means Coleman, Dr. Ann Reber, Jan Schneider, Richard Gentry, Paul Fish, and Alan Jugenheimer, and the battalion.
Fantastic. Are y'all open for questions?
Yes.
The presenters are open for questions at this time. We'll now move into a period of 5 minutes for question and answer. Are there any questions for the presenters at this time? Seeing no questions, that will conclude our period of Q&A. Thank you to the presenters, and we'll now move into a period of debate, beginning with debate against. Again, if you do have any debate against, you can let us know by raising your hand with the raised hand tool on Slack. And period of debate against, we'll start now with recognizing Chair Ahmed.
Howdy, Chair Ahmed, Diversity and Inclusion. I have an amendment to make.
Maybe make your motion.
Yes, so my amendment is to, after whereas 3, to add a new whereas that says, the period project put out a survey that garnered a total of over 2,000 responses, demonstrating an overwhelming support by students and faculty alike for the need of free menstrual products on the Texas A&M University campus.
And is there a formal motion to amend?
Oh, yes, sorry.
So just I move to amend.
Oh yeah, I move to amend the legislation to include a new whereas 4 after whereas 3.
Right. And if the pro temp and the ops committee can get that amendment written down for us.
Mhm.
We're gonna go ahead. Amon, do you have access to that document?
Yeah. Do you want me to just copy paste it in
Yeah,
there?
would you type copy and paste the change that you would like to make in there so that I can make sure we get it word for word and you don't have to say it again?
Yeah. I think that should be correct with the formatting.
And I'll go ahead and share my
This
screen so
amendment-
y'all can see that.
If this amendment is added, the numbers will automatically change for anyone following along, wondering about the multiple whereas fours there. And I believe this motion does need a second. Are there any seconds to this motion? Seeing multiple seconds, we'll go ahead and move into a period of debate on this amendment, beginning with debate against. Is there any debate against amending the bill so that whereas 4 is added in to say the period project put out a survey that garnered a total of over 2,000 responses, demonstrating an overwhelming support by students and faculty alike for the need for free menstrual products on the Texas A&M University campus. And so with that, we'll begin the period of debate against. Is there any debate against? Seeing none, that period of debate has closed as it was one-sided, and I'll move to a period of vote on this. For voting, we'll go ahead and do this by general consent unless there are any objections. So by general consent, we as a Senate do move to amend this resolution to add in a whereas that says the period project put out a survey that garnered a total of over 2,000 responses, demonstrating an overwhelming support by students and faculty alike for the need for free menstrual products on the Texas A&M University campus. And are there any objections to adding this to the resolution by general consent? Seeing none, that does pass, and we will go back into a period of debate against on the total resolution. Chair Ahmed, you do still have the floor.
I yield my time to the floor.
And the floor has been yielded to. We'll now go into a period of debate 4. Is there any debate for this resolution? Seeing none, debate is one-sided, and that period of debate has been brought to an end. And we will now move into a period of voting. That voting link can be found on the agenda, the Slack, and the Drive. Pro Tem Spur, I'll let you lead us in that.
Y'all will have until 8:14 to go ahead and fill that form out, and it is open as of now. All right, it is 8:14, so that is going to go ahead and close. And with a vote of 45 in favor and 5 in abstention, that does pass.
SR 7303 is officially passed and will be sent to the correct recipients. With that, that will conclude our period of old business, and we will now move into a period of convening reports, beginning with Pro Tem Persper.
Howdy guys, great job today. I want to give a specific shout out to the Ops Committee for helping to make sure this meeting ran smoothly and time efficiently. I'd also like to shout out Alexia Hernandez, who was our Senator of the Week. Congratulations, Alexia. A little bit of an update from me. Legislation was sent out last week to the respective people. So know that 7302 and 7304 were sent out. Now 7301 and 7303 will be sent out within this week once Speaker McHugh does sign those pieces. Other things from me. On June 3rd at noon, I will be hosting a Zoom call, kind of like an office hours, but it'll be for legislation formatting. I think some of us in the 72nd got used to formatting it with things in the headers and the footers, and to print it, we have to reformat it. So I don't want y'all to have to do extra work. So I'm going to host a meeting for anybody who wants to come to see how to format legislation on June 3rd. If you have questions, if you're new to Senate, you're trying to write a bill or resolution or anything like that, it'll be at noon, and then that's a week before the June 10th meeting. So that will give you time to format your legislation accordingly before that meeting. Another thing from me is my committee. I have two committees. I have IA and Ops. IA meetings are every Friday at noon. If any of y'all need to discuss anything with us via the entirety of IA, those are open to the general Senate. Ops has our meetings. We had a big development meeting that Director Marbut will tell you a little bit more about, but we're getting vamped up and excited to get lots of stuff out from us. Social media is going to be starting to look very present. We're starting our Welcoming You to the 73rd Instagram story series. If y'all saw Senator Woods, his went up yesterday. And so that will be kicking off 1 to 2 senators a day. That's why you filled out that 73 general info form. If you still haven't filled that out, please do. The last thing I will say is absences went out last week. Absences will go out on either a biweekly or monthly basis, depending on our meetings. So like in the summer, it'll be a monthly basis. In the school year, it'll be a biweekly basis. Please be paying attention to your absences. The question that I get the most is, I have one more absence than what I can see on the first sheet. Your total absences on the front, on the very first Google sheet, is your total absences. It includes your committee absences. So if you only see 4 red boxes, but you have a 5 out of 6, it's because you missed a committee meeting. So please do know that committee meetings count towards attendance unless your committee chair states that they don't. If you are absent for a committee meeting, the excusal is done through your committee chair, not through the Drive link. And the last thing I will say is committee meetings are up to the discretion of the chair, open to anybody. And so the way that you can excuse an unexcused absence is to attend a different person's committee meeting. So say you are in constituency affairs, but you have an absence that you're wanting to excuse, you could attend the diversity and inclusion committee meeting and get that absence back. You'll just have to fill out that form that I sent in the absences email. That was a lot of information thrown at you really quickly, but if you have any questions, go ahead. I'm yielding to questions. Awesome. Well, if I don't have any questions, then I yield the rest of my time to Chair Hine.
Alrighty, howdy Senate. I just want to say thank you to everyone who tuned into this special session. It's really cool to see all this really important legislation being passed this early in the session. So I just want to say congrats to all of the authors of the bills, or not bills, resolutions that got passed tonight. And I'm super excited for what's to come for this session. Just a few updates. My Judicial Confirmation Subcommittee please be on the lookout for a email from me going out probably early next week. We're going to try to get all of those interviews knocked out before the June 10th meeting, so we can just go ahead and confirm all of them in the June 10th meeting. So be on the lookout for that. As well as my committee, I'll be sending on some updates within Slack. Probably going to have a committee meeting before the June 10th meeting. But I think that's it. So if you have any questions,
Chair Hahn? Seeing none, thank you, Chair.
Perfect. Have a good night, everyone.
Chair Teague?
Howdy, Senate. Very quickly, not a lot of updates on the finance side of things. My committee continues to work on researching, really delving into where your money is spent, where our money is spent, rather, to see what the most effective use for the money is. I am in communication with our advisors to stay up to date on all of the ever-changing policies from the university as they relate to finance allocations, and I'll have, I'm sure, lots of actual official information to share with you with our next meeting in June. So my office hours are by appointment this summer. I'm free anytime you need me to be, so just reach out. Don't be a stranger if there's anything I can do for you. With that, I'll open myself up to questions.
Are there any questions for Chair Teague? Seeing none, thank you, Chair Teague.
Thank you.
Chair Ahmed.
Howdy, Senate. So again, I just want to thank you guys all for being here today. Obviously, special session is kind of called last minute. So really appreciate all of you being here. Before I get started, one thing I just want to say a big shout out to my committee, because that was our first time dealing with legislation in our committee, and they made that process run by so smoothly, went by so easily. So I just want to give a big shout out to them. Some things I've been working on with diversity inclusion, have been working with Lily Piper, the diversity commissioner, and we've started kind of putting together meetings with student organizations. So we started meeting with them and also connecting with the administration. So we're kind of having some joint meetings together to see how we can help these student organizations and administrators through SGA, and how we can kind of work together on the legislative side and the executive side. So we have started some meetings, and we're going to continue doing those throughout the summer. For my committee, just keep a lookout, because I'll probably reach out to you guys soon about having a meeting sometime next week so that we can get started on legislation for the June meeting. And I'll also be continuing some one-on-ones with members of my committee. And lastly, something I wanted to touch on is, I don't know if all of you senators are aware, but there have been some changes to the Title IX regulation on a federal level. And there has been a group of senators that have kind of got together to start working on it, kind of forming like an interest group to see like how these changes like impact our school and students. So if you are interested in Title IX or would like to be involved in this process, please reach out to me or Senator Alexia Hernandez, because there will be kind of like a big meeting tomorrow, a Zoom meeting tomorrow on Thursday from 2 to 3:30, where we're kind of going to go over that and kind of seeing how to best move forward and that kind of thing. So if you are interested, please contact me or Alexia, and we can give you more details all about that meeting and how you can get involved. So yeah, if you do want to contact me, you guys should have all of my information in the Google Drive. But also feel free to like email me, text me, message me on Slack. And I think Alexia is also open to all of that. And besides that, my office hours are also by appointment. So again, feel free to text me, call me, email me, Slack, if you'd like to set up an appointment for office hours or just want to talk, get to know each other, bounce off ideas, anything, I'm here for y'all. So yeah, that's all of my updates, and I am open to questions.
Are there any questions for Chair Ahmed? Seeing none, thank you, Chair Ahmed.
Thank you.
Chair Jeffers.
Howdy, Senate. Members of my committee, along with myself, are working with other senators on some timeline issues. after a successful meeting with the director of the Honor Council, my committee and myself will be putting together a proposal to continue the peer navigator position, that being a position to help students who encounter honor code violations and navigate the processes behind that. Lastly, we're keeping track of all of our ongoing issues, including OER, open educational resources, fall break, mental health resources on basic syllabi requirements, COVID-19 changes, and the accountability portal. If any of you would like to meet with me about any of these topics or just want to say hello, my office hours are by appointment. And thanks and gig 'em.
Are there any questions for Chair Jeffress? Seeing none, thank you, Chair Jeffress. Chair Feldman.
Howdy, Senate. Great meeting today. Glad for y'all coming and making this not only a quick and efficient one, but, you know, taking time out of your busy summers and schedules to come and do this. We had our first committee meeting in LR, I believe 2 weeks ago now. It went really well. Everyone's just researching a bunch of topics. I had a great conversation with VP Matley last night about the future with the commission coming along later in the fall and working together on the advocacy in the future. I intend on speaking with a bunch of the faculty regarding LR issues and coronavirus in the future, as well as Michael O'Quinn, who is the essentially almost a A&M liaison to the Texas legislature. So I'm going to be talking to him hopefully in the next couple weeks, as well as SBP Mendoza to kind of start ironing things out for the fall. And yeah, if you guys have any questions or any ideas, feel free to reach out to me and let me know.
Are there any questions for Chair Feldman? Seeing none, thank you, Chair Feldman. Chair Syed.
Howdy, Senate. We had our first Student Services Committee meeting as well about 2 weeks ago, and it ran really smoothly. We got some new ideas shared, and we will be beginning the research process and meeting with administration these upcoming weeks. In addition, we will be having another Student Services Committee meeting before our next session. So if you are interested in joining that, be on the lookout for that information in our Slack. As of right now, I believe that's everything that I have. Actually, sorry, one more thing. So if you have anything that you want to work on within student services, the summer is the perfect time to get the research done for these ideas, because once we get into the school year, meetings with administration and meetings with the transportation and dining committees take time. So having that research ahead of time will help smoothen that process and make things run more efficiently once the school year starts. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Chair Syed? Seeing none, thank you, Chair Syed. Chair Rodriguez.
Howdy, Senate. Congratulations to everybody that was sworn in tonight for Exec Cabinet. Super excited for you guys. It's going to be super fun this year. Just a couple of updates. Wanted to reiterate what Chair Ahmed was saying about tomorrow's Title IX meeting. There has been some updates on the federal level, so we definitely want you guys to tune in if you can. It's going to be from 2 to 3:30. I think it's something super important and something that's going to have a big impact on campus, not only for the fall, but for future generations. So if you guys can check in on that, that'd be really cool. I know Senator Alexia is been working very hard on that, so very proud of her. Also, I did have my first committee meeting about 2 weeks ago. We discussed a lot of things that we wanted to get done. The first is, of course, sending out a COVID-19 survey, and that'd be sent out to the entire student body, just kind of gaining feedback and information on how this year has definitely impacted their studies, and just kind of bring that information back to us so that we can relay that to administration as well. So that's something we're working on right now and hoping to get that out by the first week in June. So then by the time we send out our first ag input in August, we have all the information lined up and is readily available for each of the students. Also, I'm going to be trying to set up summer one-on-ones with each of my committee members. So be on the lookout for that. If anybody else wants to join on a committee meeting or wants to have a one-on-one with me, you can text me, email me. I'm always open and willing to do that as well. My office hours are going to be by appointment as well. So if you guys ever have any ideas or want to bring anything to the table, never hesitate to message me on Slack and we can set that up real quick. Other than that, I'm working on some things also with Chair Spur to hopefully amp up the social media coming soon. So you guys be on the lookout for that. But other than that, I yield to questions.
Are there any questions for Chair Rodriguez? Seeing none, thank you, Chair Rodriguez. Chair Holdag?
Howdy, Senate. I want to thank everyone for coming to this special session. I think it was really efficient. So updates for CR. As far as the core values subcommittee chair applications, I'm going to send out an interview, like an email about interviews to those applicants before the end of this week, I promise, just to set up interviews. I apologize, it's taking longer than I initially expected, but I promise to have that out by either tomorrow, but definitely by the end of the week. For my CR committee, I plan on scheduling a meeting soon to kind of discuss the things that I talked about with Helena when I met with her a few days ago or about a week ago. Congrats to her for being appointed as the new VP of Municipal Affairs. I was waiting until she was confirmed before I jumped the gun, but seeing as she was, I'm excited to share what we talked about. I'm really looking forward to working with her and having a meeting talking about what we discussed. And I also have some updates on things that have been going on and new stuff going on in Bryan and College Station. So if you're in CR, be on the lookout for Slack for a meeting that'll probably be coming up next week as well. And I think that's it for CR updates. I just want to thank everyone for their patience. I'm really loving to see the head start we have and how much we've managed to accomplish already in the 73rd. So that's all I have. And if anyone has any questions, I'm all ears.
Are there any questions for Chair? Seeing none, thank you, Chair Holdag.
Thank you.
Director Marbut?
Well, howdy, Senate. It's been a great night. I'd like to thank everybody for being here. I would also like to give a little shout out to the Operations Committee. We have been working very diligently in discussing anything and everything that needs to be done. And we met this past Tuesday, so yesterday, and we really figured out what needs to be done with the website and all social media. And we're hoping that within the next 2 to 3 weeks, everything will be updated, anything from senators to legislation, all that. So if anybody has any questions, I'm all ears. You can email me, message me on Slack, whatever you feel like. And with that, I will yield my time to questions.
Are there any questions for Director Marbut? Seeing none, thank you, Director Marbut. We'll now move into a period of executive reports, beginning with SVP Mendoza.
Perfect. Well, howdy, Senate, again. First of all, let me preface with the fact that my call just completely dropped. So if it does that, I will do my best to join right back. But again, I'll echo what was said. I appreciate everyone's diligence and time here this evening. Quick and easy, less than 2 hours. We love that. But I've written my stuff down so I don't forget anything. And should I or not cover something you're curious about, please ask questions. But we're excited to finally have a full cabinet. That's very, very exciting. The work is going to continue. I've already connected our new VP of UCOMS to our VPSA office, waiting to do that for tonight. So really excited for getting the ball rolling on a few other projects. Cabinet, as well as top staff, has been meeting regularly to kind of iron out what our agenda items will be, what our one-pager will be. I'm excited to share that with you all. We hosted our version of a spring retreat this past week, which was of course online through Zoom, but really just ironed out for a period of 2, 3, 4 hours with our members the year ahead, and excited to do that hopefully again in August. So with that, I know a number of the chairs have already met with their counterparts. That'll continue as well throughout the summer. So and with that also, so the year ahead, everything else going on, we'll be meeting with the association, the foundation, as well as SGAs from both across Texas and the nation, but also the SEC to figure out best practices, what's being done. Granted, they're all very different from A&M structurally, but we can take some good ideas from them. So that's been really, really insightful and helpful. And we're also looking at pieces both internally and externally as far as communication goes, that we're excited to loop Peyton into to have his help on that. And excited to share that both with Senate, but also the larger SGA community over the summer. And then as far as campus-wide pieces go, obviously there is a ton going on, and I think overall we're trying to think strategically about the year ahead for both SGA's sake, but also for student organizations generally. Worked really, really hard and is going to release in the coming week or so a student task force for kind of bringing different people together from across campus, and we'll definitely include Senate in that piece. We're excited to kind of announce that it's been and received support from Division of Student Affairs, Student Activities, student organizations from Fish Camp and Muster that have kind of been there, done that in terms of adapting and looking at things strategically. So excited for that. Hopefully a lot more to share throughout the summer and really have pieces of communication with student orgs as we all kind of feel like we're in a state of limbo. And then beyond that, more as far as the fall semester goes and pieces like that. I know I'm not spilling any beans when I say things that have been in articles and press releases. It's not at all unexpected to say that we will have a combination of both in-person as well as remote or online options for the fall semester. The provost has hinted, and I think could be before that, based on other bureaucratic things, that by mid-June they should have at least a template out to what they want to the general population to be in a release. That doesn't mean they'll have everything ironed out as far as the logistics of how it's going to run, but they are working to solidify the template itself over the next week and hopefully have it out sooner than mid-June. But I am happy to answer any questions. I know there's a lot else going on nationally with the California system and a few others that have kind of hinted at. Also today with Notre Dame and other pieces that have made their own releases. So happy to answer questions on that. But overall, the big pieces for Cabinet as well as our movements this summer is really that task force that we're crafting and announcing over the next week. But I'm open to questions.
We'll recognize Senator Martin.
Senator Martin, Liberal Arts Caucus. Number one, I'd like to apologize for the dogs barking earlier in the meeting. Number two, obviously with the whole development of this is kind of off topic, but what is it looking like in regards to like the football season and how all that's going to develop? Will we have like on campus have to wear masks? Like how have we been dealing with all of this?
Yeah. So as far as athletics, the athletic director has hinted publicly that, and the chancellor too, really, that it's a priority. Now, those guidance have to come from both the NCAA and the SEC. And I think earlier this week, it was announced that our athletes are going to be able to go in their facilities June 1st, which helps with the fact that they're not going to be able to have any football season if they're not physically ready to play safely on a field. So I think that's a good kind of starting point. Is June 1st, athletes are supposed to be able to go and practice in a facility. Now to the mask piece, as far as the fall campus kind of runs, this is not anything official, but I don't think it's crazy to think that there'll be a piece where you have to, or be encouraged. I would say encouraged, not have to. Now, because it follows the same guidance that the CDC national levels have done, which A&M traditionally follows. Now with the larger system, everything has been locked down, but they're in a kind of a phase one of a 3-phase part to reopen the system and the buildings to employees and all that stuff. And in those in the guidance that they've released, it does include recommendations and pieces about masks. So I think that the answer is don't know yet. But personally, based on kind of what I've heard, I think that it's likely that probably a strong recommendation will be made to those who choose to be here for their own personal safety.
And Chair Syed.
Chair Syed, Student Services. My question is, so if we're going to be having a new defined structure of classes, will we be seeing a opening of like re-registration, or we have to redo our registration?
So unofficially, don't know yet, or officially we don't know yet. I will say what I've advocated for and what I think has been listened to is the fact that if students en masse have changes that they don't have input into, that's not really acceptable. And so I think that the bottom line is, because everything is going to be in some component online, because there's no possible way, even if we wanted to have 100% in-person capacity, we don't have the classroom space to do that. And so by nature, even if we stuck the schedule exactly the same way, some things would be moved online or moved into different sections of a same class, and timing would change. So if that were the case, best case scenario, people's schedules change, and that would be done possibly where they don't have input. I've told them, and they've seemed to listen, that that's not at all okay for students. And so I think it's likely that if a large change is made, that students will have the ability en masse to go and decide for themselves what's best for them. Because it's also a piece where if a student decides that, you know what, I don't feel safe, I want to stay at home, maybe my family has a health issue, I want to stay home, just whatever that looks like for that individual student, they can also choose to do that. And so we have to have room to adapt it to the individual student.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Viswanathan.
Howdy, Senator Vishwanath, Off-Campus Caucus. So I just wanted to ask about something that UT had just released today. A decision that they made is that they are not going to go back to like in-person classes after Thanksgiving break. And I know it's like super recent to like answer on that, but just a thought on like what do you think on that in terms of A&M's response, and if we might do something like similar to that?
Yeah, so I saw the release by UT, and frankly, it wasn't truly surprising. And I think as far as it goes with A&M, so the chancellor has hinted at, you know, another option to that, you know, where students are strongly encouraged not to go home for Thanksgiving, for example. That was something that was released. So I think big picture wise, whether it's, you know, not coming back or you know, not going home, I think people generally speaking are worried about a change in scenery to basically shuffle people around with an increased ability to infect people. And so I think that there will be something probably in the guidance released. Most likely, I think you'll see it in the announcement in June, early June, within the next few weeks, about that piece. I can't say definitely what it'll be, but I think that based on what we've seen nationally, including from UT, it's likely that something will be done, and the chancellor hinted at that. And so I think, but it's also important to note that in some way or other, the state still has the same mandate for the number of class days people have. So it's not that, even for UT, it's not that, you know, the semester is any shorter. It's just that they are seeing their semester for every single person move online, so to speak, for finals, if that makes any sense.
Are there any other questions for SVP Mendoza? See none. Thank you, SVP Mendoza. Chief Justice McIntosh.
All right, well, howdy, Senate. So congratulations to everyone who's just confirmed tonight. Also, congratulations making it through the oath. I know it's not easy. You all were such impressive candidates, and I really look forward to seeing what Eric and his cabinet is going to be able to accomplish this year. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for making it out to this special session and making this happen. Utilizing Zoom over the summer to wrap up some business is a unique opportunity, and my hat is definitely off to you guys for actually taking on extra responsibilities over the summer, since this hasn't been done in the past years. It really is incredible to see how SGA has taken these unprecedented times to actually grow and take on more instead of slowing down and using it and letting it hinder you guys. You guys haven't let it stop you at all, and I'm so impressed. I think this definitely speaks volumes about the passion of everyone here, and you should all be so proud of that. As for J-Court, thank you, Chair Hine and everyone else on the J-Court Confirmation Committee for working hard to help put these associate justices up for confirmation before the summer's over. That way we'll be able to roll as soon as summer's over and at the start of the fall semester and just really get a jump for the rest of the year. So with that, I'm open for questions.
Are there any questions for Chief Justice McIntosh? Seeing none, thank you, Chief Justice McIntosh. With that, I will go ahead and give a report here. I'll keep it short and we'll get out of here. One, I do want to say thank you to everyone again. I want to echo what other chairs have been saying for showing up tonight. I think that tonight has been a tremendous help to Senate and to our effectiveness. I know that before now we've had a lot of meetings that have gone a long time and lasted way into the night. And so to have a meeting that will be wrapping up here before 9 is definitely a breath of fresh air. And so I want to thank you all for being here, because that allows our summer meetings to potentially be shorter as well, since we can go ahead and get some things done before then. So thank you for your dedication on that. I will say some of our advisors may or may not have been bragging about how SGA and Senate has done in moving to Zoom and being able to adapt to these changes. And that goes to every single person who's on this call and has been on these calls throughout the end of the semester. So I want to thank you all for your resilience through that and through this pandemic. And I know there's been hard situations getting calls in, whether it was Wi-Fi issues, whether it was placement issues or other issues. The fact that y'all have given so much effort to this, and this ending of the semester has been phenomenal. I just have a couple of housekeeping things, and I'm like Eric, and I wrote things down here. So that's why my eyes are kind of going everywhere here as I look down. I also have a monitor up here above my webcam. So if you've seen me looking up at the sky throughout the meeting, I assure you I wasn't rolling my eyes or doing anything like that. Simply looking up at this monitor so I can do things. So a couple of housekeeping things. Slack has been a phenomenal tool and proved to be a great tool for communication and getting information out, as well as reminders, as well as people communicating with one another amongst Senate. That's something that has been unprecedented within Senate. We haven't had a communication platform like that before. And so the fact that it's rolled out really well and that it's been made use of really well is extremely encouraging. I will say there are a few senators who have not signed up for Slack yet. For whatever reason. I know there is some trickiness with the signing up and going through the link to get into Slack. So if that's you, if you have any trouble, if you're having any trouble getting into Slack, please do let myself, Pro Tem Spur, or your committee chair know so that we can get you into Slack and make sure that you're seeing all of those updates and all of that information as it's coming through, because I know sometimes information can be lost in long emails. So even though it is going to be continued to be sent out in emails, we're also going to be sending things out on Slack for more bite-sized info that's a little bit easier to grasp and handle there. As far as Senate goes, we are monitoring the new changes as well. I'm working closely with SVP Mendoza as he has updates and things like that. We're also preparing for any situation that is necessary. We do have Coldest 144, our typical Senate room, reserved throughout the fall and the spring this next year. But just to be safe on the safe side, we are looking at other room options that would allow us to have a little bit more flexibility with social distancing guidelines and things like that, so that when we come back in the fall, regardless of the choices made by the university, we are able to handle that. And if it turns out that we're able to be in 144, we'll be prepared. If it turns out that we're not, we'll have another option, and we'll also always have the Zoom option as well. And so we're keeping all of our options there. We're keeping everything updated and ready and trying to make things as effective and efficient as possible to return back to as much normalcy as possible within Senate. And so you'll have to bear with us as we continue to prepare with all of that. Our next meeting is, of course, June 10th. So we do have a little bit of a break here. When June 10th does roll back around, That will be a meeting where we'll be doing Associate Justice confirmations for Chief Justice McIntosh, getting her a full court, as well as we'll be hearing any legislation. So if you do have ideas for legislation, things you'd like to write, things you'd like to see done, maybe you're trying to figure out how to navigate the templates on the drive, maybe you're trying to figure out some statistics or meet with someone in administration to get the best information possible. Whatever you're doing as you're moving towards your ideas, I highly recommend that you continue to talk to your chair, and because your chair is a phenomenal resource, again, for connecting you to administration so that everything can be as effective and as efficient as possible. We're not leaving any steps out in writing effective legislation. With that, I do want to say a little shout out to all of our chairs who have been working like crazy, getting a ton of stuff done, meeting with a ton of people in administration, having continued IA meetings even when we've had an extended break here from normal Senate general meetings. And so know that your chairs are working extremely hard. So please allow them to work alongside you, give them grace and communication here as different things come up in the summer. But do know that they're working extremely hard. I also know that a lot of senators are working extremely hard as well. I've been very impressed with how y'all are handling the Title IX conversation and discussion. I was very impressed because y'all are going through the right channels and getting things done in a timely manner at the same time. And so that's an extremely encouraging thing to see right here at the beginning of a session. And so keep up that great work. Other than that, though, I don't have any other big updates. If you're not in the Slack, again, to reiterate, please, 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 please reach out to us so we can get you into the Slack because you are missing potentially some information that you might need if you're not able to get that signed in. With that, though, that is everything I have. Are there any questions that you guys have for me? And with that, we will conclude our period of executive reports and move into closing roll call led by Pro Tem Spur.
Howdy, y'all. That closing roll call is open and will be open until 9 p.m. But once you've filled it out, you are free to leave.
Again, thank you all for being here. Once that form is filled out, you're dismissed and able to leave.